So typically that's what our children look like, school-age children, so the older kids, majority African American as well, and sibling groups. So we need a special family that would say, you know, I'm willing to open up my home to a 13-year-old, an 11-year-old, and maybe a 5-year-old, you know, 2 and 3 and 4 kids. Those kids, we want to keep them together because that's their family. So to find a permanent family that will be willing to adopt all of these children as well, we need special families like that.
Now, that's what you've done, correct? Adopted a sibling group?
Of 2, yeah. But I have a total of 4.
But you've adopted 4. So are they brothers? Or
all of the sibling group is a boy and a girl, 13 and 11.
Okay. But they're still together.
They're together now. That's
with
great.
Loving, caring parents. That's wonderful. So we've talked about the project and kind of what the mission is, and we talked a little bit about how it was initiated. Who's currently participating in Open Arms?
Well,
currently it's a Bethany program. We're doing it in association, in a sense, as a partner with the Michigan Family Forum, and their role is really to engage the churches that support them. We're also looking for other partners as we build sort of a coalition and interested parties to help us to, first of all, get the word out. A lot of churches don't even know about the need that exists. They don't know the number of kids that are waiting. Secondly, then, as partners that can help us to educate churches and families in churches to, in a sense, make the commitment to adopt these kids or to support a family that will adopt those kids. So we're developing it. It just started about 2 months ago, and so we're hoping in the next 2 years to recruit 400 churches, and possibly each church to either raise up or support 1 or 2 families for these kids, and hope that it will grow from there.
That's wonderful. What I love about this is you're doing what I think we need to be doing more and more, and that's just reaching out and touching folks in a very positive but a very substantial way. It's not a big government program, but it's something that people can do on a very personal level. They'll have to do it on a very personal level,
right.
And something that can really touch the lives of these children on a very personal level. So that's awesome. And so you said you're looking to do about 400 churches in the next
by the end of 2009. And we are actually meeting with pastors and asking them to join us. We have sort of a letter of agreement that we're using with them. Then also beginning the education process with our Open Arms advocates that are going into the churches, helping them to develop some programming and giving them some tools, because churches are asked to do a lot right now by a lot of organizations, so we want to help them to build that within their own congregation, their own parish.
See, Project Open Arms is 3-pronged. We're spreading the awareness, raising awareness about, you know, the needs of these children and the needs of families, needing families for these kids. And then also to identify a family within the church congregation that would be interested in adopting a child. So the whole recruitment aspect. And then is supporting that family within that church, providing the adoption services, the post-adoption services, and stuff like that. So that's what we're trying to do with Project Open Arms within the body of Christ.
So what if someone is watching this program and they're thinking about this, and maybe they've thought about this in the past, but they're not quite sure, they're not sure what to do, they're not sure what kind of services would be available to them even after they adopted the family. Can you tell them anything about that, anything about the help that they'd have?
Oh, definitely. I mean, if a family is interested in knowing more about adoption, we offer orientation sessions every month. So just contacting Bethany, and the simple number is 1-800-BETHANY.
1-800-BETHANY.
Can't forget that one.
Okay, great. And so that'll be on the screen.
So they can contact us about that. We offer orientation sessions every month, and in those orientation sessions, it tells you about what it takes to be an adoptive family or to even be a foster family, what these children look like, what their needs are. And it actually walks you through the steps as well, the different services we offer as far as the adoption assessment, post-adoption services, the training, everything else as well.
Great. So really we need folks to adopt these kids, but do we need more good foster homes as well?
Oh, definitely.
So we need that as well.
Oh, definitely.
I kind of knew the answer to that question, but I want the experts to tell me. But yes, we do.
And we're thinking too, when we get into churches and they express an interest in this program, if there's families in there that feel foster parenting is a good fit for them, we will help them to become a licensed foster parent. It can help us in that way as well. Yep.
So they've got some options there.
That's right.
Or they may want to kind of move into it a little bit more slowly.
Yep.
But it's there. That's great. Clove and I, my wife Clove and I know of folks who've adopted kids, but I'm very pleased and proud to know both of you. You've reached out, and I think you're doing a wonderful thing, but you're building your own families that way, and that truly is wonderful. Let me ask you this. I'm sure that some of the people who are watching might say, well, that sounds, it may be nice, but there could be some real difficulties, and I don't want to get stuck in a situation that I don't know how to deal with. Can you share maybe some of the help that you've provided, or talk about just some of your experiences, just to maybe kind of help them understand what it's like?
Well, I can say this first. Everyone's not called to adopt. I really believe that God has put it on His people's heart, those who He's chosen to be foster parents, to be adoptive parents. But we all can do something, within the church. You can support a family if you can adopt.
That's good.
You can provide meals, or you can do tutoring, or you can do some transportation for some of these adoptive parents, or you can just be the person they call and vent. I mean, there's ways that you can support. But let's say it is you. You've been feeling on your heart for years that God said He wants you to adopt a child. Just know that not only with Bethany, but even within your own church is what we're trying to do, is build that support there. We have post-adoption services. We offer training. We have the counseling services that would be available to the family and to the children as well. There's so many resources through the support groups as well. Books, videos, all kinds of things that we can offer this family, and also just raising the church up to offer that support as well is our goal. So you won't be out there on your own.
Right. I think some people think that it costs a lot of money to adopt these kids, and it does not cost money. It costs commitment. And I was going to add too that there's many of these kids have some support, financial support, that can help the families with adding another child. I always joke that the adoption itself is a process and does cost very little money, and you worry about that. But raising a child, a family has to be ready to raise a child. And if you don't want kids, this is not the thing to do. But if you love kids and really want kids and be a part of your family, kids are kids, and they're going to present expenses and challenges and a lot of joy as well. But that's part of the joy of being a parent. So you have normal parenting stuff, as well as expenses with children, but these kids also respond well to families. That's what they were meant to be a part of. And so we've seen families with a really strong commitment to children that step up to the plate and adopt these kids, and the kids do well. It doesn't mean they don't have problems or challenges, but they do well. And I think families that are very committed and dedicated, really and a little bit flexible, are the ones that do really well with these kids and with kids in general. So.
Yeah, and just another thing that I was just thinking about is the types of families that we need. You have those families that try to talk themselves out of, adopting or being a foster parent. Well, I'm too old, or I don't own my home, or I'm not married. No, you don't have to own your home. You can rent. You just have to have space for a kid. You don't have to be married. We have a lot of single moms and even single dads that feel called to adopt or even be foster parents, and they're great. They do an awesome job with these kids. Not every child, even though we think about it and say, you know, every child deserves a mom and dad, but every child is unique. And you may have this young girl who really would just want to have a mom. And there's a mom out there for her. You don't have to be rich to be a foster parent or an adoptive parent. Like Brian also always said, there's support subsidy for these families that can help them with the cost of raising a child. So I just wanted to put that in there too. So, you know, just to dispel some of the myths about adopting.
Sure. Well, you said something earlier that I thought was really great. You said that not everyone's called to adopt or even to be a foster parent, but there are other things that they can do to support. So what you're really speaking to is kind of a body of folks, of believers, that will help to support that whole effort in many ways. I'm sure some of us who raise kids understand that sometimes you need a little respite or you need to get away. Or I just saw two of my friends who they have a couple of children, but they also adopted, and they were out at, my wife and I love this restaurant, great Mexican food, and